Apparently, I made out with your sister the other night, according to Karen.
I continued out to the pool bar when I heard very loudly his name screamed across the lobby. Very angrily, and it made me stop in my tracks. As I'm going back in, I hear someone yell, "Who the fuck was that?"
Who the fuck was that?
And as I come around the corner, I see Mr. O'Keefe walking toward a woman. He said, "Calm down, that's Laura's little sister." I said, "Hi, nice to meet you." That's when Miss Reed's head snapped up, and she very loudly told me to go fuck myself across the lobby. And I said, "Yeah, fuck you too," and walked away.
Today we're leaving the cold of Canton and heading down to the tropical island of Aruba. This is where John O'Keefe and Karen had a huge fight in front of all their friends when Karen thought she saw John making out with another broad. Let's watch.
"Are you breaking up or staying together?" Defendant responded, "I don't know. He hooked up with another girl on vacation. I'm very close to his niece. It is a very fucked up situation." I responded, "When was that and how did you find out he hooked up?" Defendant responded, "We went away for New Year's, the four of us. I put the kids to bed and found him in the lobby of our hotel all over one of our friends. Whatever, it doesn't matter." I responded, "It does matter."
That's the text exchange between Karen Reed and this big boy, Brian Higgins, old Higgy Bear, regarding what occurred in Aruba.
I'm in the blue bubbles and I said, "Did they bang?"
Mac.
The defendant responded, "Does that matter?" I said, "Sorry, I was just asking. I was just trying to figure shit out." Defendant responded, "It doesn't really matter." I said, "Okay, I won't ask again." Defendant said, "I don't care," with a smiley face. "It doesn't matter." I responded back, "Okay." I responded, "Why are you getting your thing all twisted up over simple questions?" And then I typed thong. Defendant responded, "I'm not. I am?"
Don't forget the second question, Mac.
I responded, "You're kind of getting defensive." Defendant responded, "Not at all," with an exclamation point.
Laura Sullivan.
Ma'am, if I could turn your attention to New Year's Eve of 2021 into New Year's Day of 2022. Do you recall that time frame?
I do.
And do you recall where you were?
I was in Aruba. We've been going, Josh and I have been going to Aruba for years. 2021 post-COVID, we decided to bring our children. We had never gone with them before.
That's a bad idea. Bringing your kids on vacation for the first time is always a nightmare.
And since it was post-COVID, and so we went from just the 5 of us going to approximately 60 people. We all stayed at the Renaissance, which is in downtown, and we buy timeshares. So it was a timeshare resort where we would purchase weeks that people owned. So we were able to get, I think it was something, close to 20 rooms.
The Renaissance Hotel is located on the island of Aruba. White people from the Northeast love Aruba. They get suckered into buying timeshares there and then are forced to go year after year after year. It's a windy island. When you go there, there are very few locals. Most of the people will be your next door neighbors. Almost every white person I know from the Northeast goes to windy-ass Aruba.
For all of us to go for the same week. Yeah, I received a text message from John O'Keefe interested in learning more information about our trip.
She posted she had available rooms on Facebook, and that's how John responded.
I met John in May of 2013. I met him at a bar in South Boston.
Obviously.
The Godfather. He was called the Godfather to almost everybody. He had mentioned that it would be the kids, and he said Karen would be joining him as well.
At that point, had you met Karen Reed? Did you know who that was?
I had not. I knew that they were dating, but I had never met Karen, no. She was interested in the room setup, how many people could sleep in a room, and how the room is set up. You have a king-size bedroom, and then there's a kitchen area, and then there's a living room that has a pull-out couch. And I explained that you could...
Which is a typical flophouse hotel room that the timeshare owners purchase.
It's a 4-person occupancy room, and you could get a roll-away bed as well. So during that conversation, Karen mentioned that she needed her own bathroom and she needed her own space and that she wanted 2 rooms.
Which would be typical of someone like Karen. She's 40 years old. She doesn't have any kids. She doesn't want to be bogged down in a little room with a kitchenette with John and 2 other kids. She needs her own space.
I put them in contact with the woman who had the 2 rooms, and I know that they had paid her. I couldn't promise that the rooms would be next to each other, and they weren't. They were on opposite sides of the hotel.
That's even better when you have kids.
But they got 2 rooms. The pool and lobby is in the center, and then the hotel comes like this, and there are pool walkout rooms on the first floor of each, and Karen and John were on this side, and the kids were on this side, and they both had walkout rooms.
If you look there on the first floor, Karen and John had one room, and then on the total opposite side, they threw the kids in another room, which is great.
Small enough, but it was separated by a lobby, the front entrance, the outside entrance.
First time that you saw John, or when was the first time that you saw anyone from that group?
We were at the pool, so it was not long after they had landed. He texted me and said, "We're here." Ben and I jumped out of the pool and went to the lobby to see him. And then on the way back from the lobby, I saw somebody banging on the window on the left-hand side of the rooms, and I didn't know who it was. And then I saw Kaylee, and I was like, oh, well, that must be Karen. We'll just add you to the reservation. You can join us for dinner. The kids can stay with Chloe.
They brought the dog?
And they said, absolutely. So we all went out for dinner that evening.
At the end of the evening, as far as the bill comes at some point, correct?
Correct.
And what, if anything, do you recall about that?
Karen had paid the bill prior to us receiving it, wanted to Venmo or give cash
They added Karen and John last minute to the reservation, and Karen, like a boss, picked up the tab.
or something along those lines, and she declined, saying that she was honored to be there and wanted to pay for it. John was very vocal on the 30th on how he just wanted to sit in the pool and watch the Alabama game.
My God, what guy doesn't?
I saw him in the pool. I know he was sitting at the pool bar.
That's the pool bar where John O'Keefe was watching the Alabama game on New Year's Eve.
Watching the game with Josh. I have a younger brother and a younger sister.
And with reference to your younger sister, what's her name?
Marietta Sullivan. Last name is Sullivan.
Another Italian with the last name Sullivan.
So I went up to him in the pool. He had his Alabama hat on. He expressed to me that he was excited to watch the Alabama football game at the pool bar. Given the circumstances, we were in a beautiful tropical place, and he got to watch his favorite college team play football. And he said that's all he really wanted to do for the day, was be able to watch that game.
That truly is what white people want to do when we go on vacation. We want to sit by the pool on our phone, getting tan then burnt, listening to Jimmy Buffett and Bob Marley. That's what white people do on vacation.
We go to the pool area. The kids can swim. We ring in the new year at the pool bar, watching it on the TVs, and then watching the fireworks. I saw John, I want to say around 10:30-ish. I don't know the exact time. It was definitely before midnight. He was standing behind me at the pool bar. Yeah, so right before I saw John at the pool bar, I saw my sister. She came out and she was visibly upset.
So when the elevator opens up, the first person I saw was the attendant standing behind the desk. I didn't see anybody else in the lobby with me until I stepped out. When I stepped out, I looked to my left and I saw Johnny coming in through the first set of outside doors. Sort of stumbled in. I came out of the elevator and my initial response to him was, "Whoa, you okay?"
Obviously, he was fine. He's only been drinking for 8 hours in the sun.
I actually said, "Whoa, Godfather, are you okay?" But yeah, he was stumbling into the lobby.
What happened then?
I pulled back. He was glassy-eyed, looking above me. We never made eye contact. He was looking above me. It looked like he was looking for someone. I asked him, "Where are you going?" assuming that he would be coming to the pool bar to meet us. He kept looking around and he indicated that he was going that way and pointed toward a bank of rooms to our right. And I said, "Well, you should go that way." And I stepped back and I guided him toward the area that he was going. So I pointed in that direction. He walked off. I continued out to the pool bar when I heard very loudly his name screamed across the lobby very angrily, and it made me stop in my tracks.
When you stop in your tracks, what happened then?
I started to turn around to come back in. So once you go out to the pool bar, you kind of go around a corner and you go out of view. So I turned around to go back in. As I'm going back in, I hear someone yell, "Who the fuck was that?"
Who the fuck was that?
And as I come around the corner, I see Mr. O'Keefe walking toward a woman. He said, calm down, that's Laura's little sister. After Mr. O'Keefe said, calm down, that's Laura's little sister, I said, hi, nice to meet you. That's when Miss Reed's head snapped up, and she very loudly told me to go fuck myself across the lobby. And I said, yeah, fuck you too, and walked away.
Which is a standard Irish greeting.
This was my first interaction with her. I had never been fully introduced to her at all. I just had seen her sitting by the side of the pool when I had been talking to Johnny earlier in the day.
Could you just describe as to where she's seated or an article of clothing that she's wearing?
Sure.
She's the little hussy over there in the cheap suit.
She's in a black and white checkered blazer. She's 2 people in from you.
Or you go out to the pool bar, and who, if anyone, did you talk to?
I went straight up to my older sister, Laura. I went up to her and I looked at her and I said, John O'Keefe's girlfriend? And she looked at me and said, Karen? And I said, yeah, you guys like her? She said, yeah, she's okay. And I said, well, she sucks.
Mr. O'Keefe comes out, you have a conversation with him. Can you describe to the jury what that conversation was?
I turned around and I was pretty shocked to see him. I said, what's going on? And he said, nothing. I said, did Etta and Karen have words? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, that's not what Etta said. I asked him if everything was okay. His phone was lighting up and it looked like calls and texts. And it said Karen on his phone.
After you make that observation, what, if anything, did you say to John?
I asked him if he needed to take it. And he said, yes, she's crazy. I got to take care of this.
Now, turning your attention to the following day, being January 2nd, what was sort of the plan as far as what was going on that day?
The hotel we stay at has a private island, and we rented all 8 of the cabanas between the 60 of us that were there. And when the cabanas went on sale, I had reached out to John and asked him if he wanted me to get him one. And he said, sure. So I booked one for him and he paid me. And it was probably around, 10 o'clock in the morning and they weren't there yet. And so I sent him a text and I said, are you coming or do you want me to sell this cabana? Because there was other, couples there, at least he could have made,
This girl's always hustling.
the money back.
And when you said that, how did Mr. O'Keefe respond?
He said, well, apparently I made out with your sister the other night, according to Karen.
What was your reaction when Mr. O'Keefe told you this?
I was shocked. I immediately found my sister.
So my sister pulled me aside from everybody and asked if the night that I got into the altercation with Miss Reed in the lobby, if I was making out with Mr. O'Keefe.
How did you respond?
Hell yeah.
That I absolutely was not.
Texted him back. I said, I just talked to Etta. She said, absolutely not. That did not happen.
What, if any, conversation did you have with either Mr. O'Keefe or the defendant at that time?
Karen grabbed me and she said, hey, I'm sorry. I thought I saw something that I didn't, and I would like to pay for some of your sister's room.
Like a boss.
And how did you respond to that?
I said, it's absolutely not necessary. Just an apology will do.
And did she persist in wanting to pay for the room?
She did.
What a bitch.
And how so?
She just said, I will apologize, but something along the lines of, I want to pay for some of her room. Can I just have her room number?
That trip, or when was the last time that you saw her?
The day that they were leaving, I saw him by the pool. He came up, he gave me a big hug. He said, I love you. This was a great trip. Thank you so much. And I said, well, you're definitely in again for next year. And he said, absolutely.
You have to love the Irish. After all that commotion, he'll be back next year.
And that was the last time I physically saw him.
The prosecution introduced this nonsense to try and depict Karen as being a crazed woman. It has been scientifically proven that all women are crazy. It's just a matter of how crazy they are. As for the legal ramifications, there absolutely should be none. There's very little probative value in this story with regard to whether Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe or not. Compared to traveling with my ex-wife, this vacation sounds like a dream.
I continued out to the pool bar when I heard very loudly his name screamed across the lobby. Very angrily. I said, hi, nice to meet you. And she very loudly told me to go fuck myself across the lobby. And I said, yeah, fuck you too, and walked away.